Spaced and Hot Fuzz and Sean have a very incredibly unique editing style. What's the process and how did you come up with it? And question 2, can I get my copy of Hot Fuzz signed?
No.
I know it was something, the show that we did before, that we all worked on before, Asylum, had a sort of similar style, and I think it's just something like, just in terms of the style of the camera work and the editing, I was always really influenced by, you know, films that I kind of had seen as a teenager, and like I was, you know, sort of the films that made me want to be a director, like Raising Arizona and Evil Dead 2, and you know, even things that don't really factor into comedy, like Scorsese and just his use of editing and montage. It's weird to kind of see that put into a sitcom, but you know that would be the case. But me and the editor Chris Dickens worked together, and it was really, you know, it was really kind of intensive, and we would pretty much edit the entire thing on Avid with all the sound effects. So that episode, the first one you saw, was presented to the network as a rough cut, in inverted commas, pretty much the same length with all the sound effects all on there. And it pretty much never would work without the sound effects or the music, and so that would all be labelled on all the way through, and so we do all that stuff whilst we were editing before we showed it to anybody. We'd never show it to anybody without sound effects on it. But it was, you know, a very intensive process, and especially again during the second season, it got too much. You know, Chris kind of left halfway through the second series, you know, because it overran, and me and the online editor Paul Matchless edited the second half of the second series. And I remember editing that gunfight on like sort of Christmas Eve, and I think I took Christmas Day off, but otherwise I was editing that gunfight and dubbing on endless gun noise and stuff. So I think it had an extremely long post schedule for a, you know, for a comedy show comparatively. Not a funny answer, but you know.
Okay. Bueller.
Yeah. I heard, I saw on the internet that you're attached to Ant-Man. Are you still working on that, or Edgar?
Yes, I am. It's a space Q&A. We'll talk about that another time.
Yes, sir.
I'm just wondering, obviously you guys have really done as much work since the show, but I'm wondering, you know, your actual craft as writers and performers and directors, how is that, what kind of hurdles did you take from that experience to perform, how do you work out?
I guess you just sort of, you know, you just evolve, you know, and we were kind of thrown in the deep end of space, and Jess and I, we wrote the first series like at each other's houses and stuff, and then we wrote the second series and we sat opposite each other in an office, and then, you know, and we just sort of, you know, every experience you have, you take forward and you learn from it. So I guess it was just a sort of evolution, wasn't it, Jessica?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Lady.
By the way, Mixed Space is not going ahead, the American version of the show.
I don't take any pleasure in the fact that people got employed and, you know, had the possibility of possibly doing a series and didn't. That's not very nice, and I you know, I'm glad it didn't happen. I am, and we saw it.
I hope they haven't committed suicide.
Yeah.
We did actually see the pilot, and we watched it together, and
Was that actually from the producers?
we had to watch it a second time out of pity. It was very. That whole process was very upsetting because if you don't know the story, that they decided to make a space remake without consulting us and mentioning our names in the trades, and the worst error of all, not mentioning Jess in the trades. I think boo to that. A big sexist boo. Yeah. So it was very upsetting, and so again, whilst we have sympathy for the people involved, you didn't know better.
It was absolutely shit, wasn't it? Oh, so bad.
I think the thing is, the person who done the adaptation had just every little thing that kind of I don't know, every little detail that I think might, I don't want to sound conceited, but I think that for us makes it kind of special. They kind of took out, so there was no, even down to just people having the odd joint every now and again, no. And the little things that, and then they got confused with wackiness where buildings turned around. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. But I know it was
Basically, when you take away the content, the language, the drugs, the violence, the comedy, the esotericness, you're left with Three's Company. And so it was a very different version of Space. Yeah.
Oh.
Someone's got to take charge. You do it.
Did you guys get many notes from the network, or were you pretty much left alone?
They left us
Left alone completely.
We got notes from Edgar.
Yeah, it was very strange. I think because it was a low-budget show, they were very, especially, I mean, knowing like sort of what it would take. There's obviously several things in that, and this show, like the first series, is 10 years old next year, and the second series is like 7 years old. You know, but content-wise, it's still a lot of stuff that you wouldn't be able to do on American network TV, and so it's odd that we didn't really have any notes about that, nothing about the drug use, or the only thing we had is we had a note on languages that we only allowed to say fuck twice per episode, and couldn't.
We'd save them up.
Yeah.
We do have some of our younger viewers in tonight as well, by the way, so keep a
Stop saying fuck, Edgar.
keep an eye on those. Keep an eye on those.
They just heard fuck about 6 times in the episode.
Sorry, kids.
Okay.
I'm fucking sorry.
Right there, you.
So fucking sorry.
You talked about your writing process and the fact that, you know, it was kind of a special thing. Did you two have to come together on those instances, or did you kind of think that you needed this scene there, this like idea there, or did you kind of just, from your own life experience at that time, kind of create the episodes the way that your own life was kind of going?
Yeah,
it's kind of organic.
pretty much it, yeah.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, that's it for us.
Yeah, we just, you know, I don't know. When I look back at it now, it's kind of weird that it got made at all. Really, we were quite sort of woolly.
Well, I think we were quite, but we were also quite, I think one of the reasons why it worked and why we were kind of drawn to it in the end is that we were creatively quite similar. And you know, in our comedy sensibility was similar, and our style, our writing style was similar. Although Simon was more kind of dum dum dum, and I was more dum 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 dum. You know what I mean? But I think the sort of, you know,
What the fuck are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking about. And but I think the combination of that sort of really worked. But we were both quite rigorous, and would never want to kind of, you know, rest on our laurels or do anything that was cliched or unoriginal. We'd sort of check ourselves.
Did anyone, was there anything of interest that anyone thought, what does that mean? Does anyone, were there any references?
This lady's hand went straight
It's a knockout.
Go. The red hand
Yeah,
gang.
you know, this is a weird one. Now, the red hand gang, this is what's really strange, is odd American TV shows get syndicated a lot in the UK. The red hand gang, I kid you not, I shit you not, is an American show. Which, so by some quirk, used to get played every summer, and it was about 6 episodes long.
Beloved so much of me and my friends that we actually decided to form a Blue Foot gang.
It was a TV show made in the late 70s. It was like a bit like the Hardy Boys, and it had Matthew Legault, who later went on to star in Deadly Friend. Now listen, if you put into YouTube Red Hand Gang opening titles, and they say, oh my god, why haven't I seen the greatest show ever?
The DSS.
Department of Social Security.
Welfare.
Welfare. That's okay.
It's good, this is quickfire.
Yeah.
Go on.
I'm a huge fan.
No, you missed the point of it.
Let him speak, let him speak. He had a good point. Yes, well. Well, it all started.